So there are certain online video mistakes that I see time and time again, whether it's in, online meetings, webinars, interviews, whatever. And they're really easy to fix, but you have to know what they are to fix them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get right into it. Hello, and welcome to the Advisor's Digital Toolbox, where we talk about all the tech tools and tips you need to connect better with your clients and grow your business online. I am Horse's Mouth's Doug Pierce. If you are new today, please go ahead and say hi. I'd love to meet you. We're talking about online video mistakes. And of course, when I say online video, I'm of course talking about any, whether you're talking about a Zoom webinar or a Zoom meeting, on any platform really, or even pre-recorded video for that matter. These are the mistakes that can really be a distraction or even cause people to, log off early because they can't take it anymore. And when I'm talking about mistakes, really I'm talking about, mistakes with, the camera and the positioning, the lighting, the background, and the audio. Now, for those of you who have joined me before, out of all those elements I just listed, what's the most crucial thing to get right and avoid errors with? Can anybody tell me? It is 3, 2, 1, audio, right? Audio is the biggest thing you have got to get right whenever you're doing, anything online, because people will watch poor visuals, poor video, but they will not sit through poor audio. And to give you an example of this, I'm going to go ahead and play this first video here. Let me go ahead and play that from the beginning. Hello everyone, and on today's stream we are going to discuss the cardinal sins of a video that you want to avoid at all costs to prevent your attendees from running in terror. Okay, so that was the example where the video's not so great. If anybody can tell me what was wrong with that video, you get bonus points. Let's move on to the next clip here. Hello everyone, and on today's stream we are going to be talking about the cardinal sins of video. I couldn't even complete that clip. It was so painful to listen to. But that's just to show you guys that the poor audio is a way bigger problem than poor video. And if you guys don't know what was wrong with that clip, again, bonus points if you can tell me. But it was actually my audio was clipping because I had set the gain way too high on my microphone, and it was my microphone couldn't handle it, and so it was distorting. That's what the issue was there. But when we're talking about audio, really the biggest problems that I see, the biggest one is using the internal microphone on your computer or device. These microphones are not good. They're not good, and they are made because they don't really know your proximity to them. There's a really high signal to noise ratio. So what that means is that it's just going to pick up everything in the background, from the lawn guys next door mowing the lawn, to the birds chirping, to the airplanes, traffic, what have you. A lot more of that is going to get picked up when you are using the built-in microphone on your computer or your device. And the fix is really easy, right? I mean, how many of us have earbuds, right, for our smartphones? Use that instead. Most of them have built-in microphones that are going to sound a lot better, and because they're right next to your mouth, the quality is just going to be much better, and you're going to pick up a lot less noise from your environment. I mean, look, if you are in a very quiet environment, it's just you and you're sitting, pretty close to your computer, the built-in microphone on your computer or device will sound pretty good. but that's not the reality for most of us. So why not just expend a little bit of effort and make it a lot better by using earbuds or getting a headset, or even better, getting an external microphone, something like the Samson Q2U or the Blue Yeti Nano. That's a really popular one. An external USB microphone you plug into your computer, and that records your voice. That's going to be a huge upgrade for whatever meeting or online event you're doing in terms of audio, and it's well worth doing that, getting one of those. So another big audio mistake that I see is not using earbuds to receive, the return audio. As you can see here, I have earbuds in my ear, and that's so that I can hear the audio, from my computer right here, and it's not coming through a speaker and getting picked up by my microphone. Okay, that's a big, and you want to talk about cringe-worthy. This is going to make people cringe when the audio from the meeting or webinar comes out of your speakers and gets picked up by your microphone and fed back in, and you get this feedback loop. And it's like an echo chamber, and it's really annoying, really distracting. And as we said, audio errors are killers. Let's avoid that. If you gotta have the earbuds dangling from your ears, you gotta do it, because it's just worth it in terms of audio quality. So Miriam is asking what microphone I'm using. I'm using the Audio-Technica, the AT2020 condenser microphone. And of course, I am doing my next tip here, which is you need to get the microphone as close to your mouth as possible. I have mine just out of frame so that you don't see it. But honestly, I think that even if it's in frame, whatever you got to do to get your microphone close to your mouth, because it's just exponentially better sounding. It picks up, more of your vocal range, but also the closer it is, the less it's going to pick up external noise. So you might notice, I'm going to go ahead and move this microphone away from my mouth here. And I think already you guys are probably noticing, one, you can't hear me as well, but also you might be, picking up some other noises, my kids in the background. Again, it increases the further the microphone is away from you, the higher the signal to noise ratio, and the more you're going to get that background stuff in your audio. Now, the one thing you do want to avoid, especially with a headset, microphone, one of these pieces, this attaches to a headset I have. You don't want to be eating it, okay? And I don't want to be eating my USB microphone either, because one, you get the breathing, right? Coming in. Sorry about that. You can see how annoying that is. But also with plosives, the P sounds that produce this burst of air that your microphone, picks up, and it basically causes the microphone to clip. So Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Maybe you guys are picking that up. I'm exaggerating it there, but you get the idea. So you want the microphone to be close to your mouth, but a little bit off center from your face. Close, but not where the air from your mouth is hitting the microphone ideally. So I think I found a good spot with mine, but every once in a while you get a plosive, but it's not a big deal. You're definitely not getting it all the time. So if there's any questions about audio, please let me know. We are going to move on to the next trouble area, which is lighting. And some of you might be like, well, Doug, why aren't you talking about the camera? Obviously, the camera is like the most important thing, right? How I look. But the camera is actually down the chain. Audio is the most important thing, as I've shown. Bad audio is super annoying to people and grating. And then next actually comes lighting, because even if you have a really expensive camera with like a really great lens, it's not going to look good if you're not lit. And conversely, if you're not lit well, and conversely, if you have a really, cheap camera or using the webcam built into your laptop, it's going to look significantly better if you are well lit. And so the first lighting problem I see all the time is that people just aren't lit enough. They don't have enough light on them. And this is especially big for those webcams built into, laptops and computers where, they're tiny cameras, right? They have very small image sensors and they need a lot of light to correctly, render and show the image that they're receiving. And, if you don't have enough light, not only do you look dark, but the image will actually start to pixelate, right? It'll start to get like artifacts will start to creep up and it looks really, really bad. So first thing you got to do is, flick on every light switch you can in the room. Use daylight if you have it. We'll get to that, how to correctly do that in a little bit. But if you have, look for things. If you have a desk lamp, point it at you. I've heard of people, using a cell phone to, like the flashlight app on a cell phone and propping it up to light them. And also another popular thing is for those, turn your monitor. This is kind of like a hot tip, I guess. Turn the brightness on your monitor way up, because the monitor, obviously, is pointed at you and it's lighting you. So if you up the brightness on it, it's going to light your face better. So that's the thing. Now, I talked about using daylight, and this is another big mistake because daylight is a great, it looks really good. Daylight is kind of the best source of light we have, but it's also the most inconsistent, right? Because what happens to the sun? Clouds come, get over it. The sun sets or it rises. And now that perfect, lighting that we were getting from the sun is not so good. Now we're dark or we're getting glared upon. So you got to be careful using daylight. And one of the big errors of online video that I see is, and I'm going to show you a clip of it here, is excessive backlighting, basically because somebody's sitting in front of somebody's sitting in front of a window. So let's go ahead and play this clip right here. Okay, just notice that the window right here is behind me. Not only is the daylight coming through this window super bright and distracting, but the camera sensor is like, oh man, this is bright. Let me turn down the brightness. And so that makes my face extremely dark, which obviously we want people to see you in online video, or any kind of video for that matter. So again, we're just going to go back to me. Okay, we can see two things here. First is we can see that I have two young children who like to create a lot of artwork, and one of them just had a birthday party, and we got some streamers up there. But the number two thing is we see that I look a lot better. I am much better lit here. So if you are going to use the sun as a source of light, or if you want to use a window, you want the window to be in front of you with the light coming through and hitting you, as directly on as possible. And you do not want to have a window where the sun's, glaring in directly behind you, or else you get that really bad backlighting. That's really annoying. My daughter's kindergarten teacher, during remote learning, she was doing this, and she was like holding up, these cards, and I just wanted to like pull her aside and be like, you gotta you gotta have the window, facing you, not behind you. But that's a big one. The backlighting is definitely a big issue here. So moving on then to the next mistake I see with lighting is using mixed light. So let me go ahead and share this photo. This is my wife, Rachel, and this is actually a snapshot from a video I shot of her cooking. And can anybody tell me what's going on here? What's the problem with the video here? I'll give you a hint. She is not making uranium stew. She should not be orange. Okay? What is happening here is I am using the camera's auto white balance here, and the camera is getting confused about what color light is hitting my wife. Okay, cameras don't know for sure what, right? Every light has its own color. The sun is, white to blue, and the most of people's lights they have in their home and their ceilings, are like a warm yellow, something what you call tungsten hue. And what's happening here is my camera is confused because the tungsten light from the ceiling fixtures are the primary light on my wife's face, but in the background there's daylight coming in from the window. So my camera's like, whoa, there's a lot of daylight coming in here. That must mean that, the subject of this video is lit by, this bluish white color temperature, quality light. I've got to warm it up here. But the fact is that no, her face is actually being lit by the warm lights from the ceiling. And so when that gets warmed up even more, she becomes yellow, which we don't want. Now, unless you are using some kind of software or you're using a, quote unquote real camera in your online meetings, webinars, events, interviews, whatever, the auto settings, your camera is automatically setting itself based upon what it thinks it's seeing. So your camera is going to do what happened in that situation with my wife's photo. Your camera is going to do the exact same thing, where it's going to see the daylight and it's going to make you warmer, even though you already have warm light on your face. So to fix that, you either need to download software to configure the settings of your webcam manually and white balance correctly. Tell the camera, look, I'm getting, tungsten light, warm light on my face. Or you need to avoid mixed light. So that's what I would say for most people who don't want to get into the, don't want to get into the tech weeds by manually setting their camera. Just avoid mixed light. Don't have warm lights hitting you and then daylight hitting you. At the same time, it's going to confuse your camera. It's not going to know how to color you correctly. And you're going to get these situations where you're going to either look orange like Rachel, or you're going to look cold blue like steely. And we don't want that. We want to look like how we look, right? We want to look natural. So that's the problem with mixed light and how to correct that. So moving on then to camera. The biggest problem with camera that I see, with people's cameras that I see, is mostly with framing. So this is what I see a lot right here. So this is what I have dubbed the up the nose shot. And as you can tell, the angle that the camera is looking at me from is below me looking up. And this happens to a lot of people with, the built-in cameras in their laptops. They've got it down on their desk and they've got the screen with the camera on it tilted up, so that they can see the screen clearly. So how do you how do you fix this? Well, you get some books or, an Amazon box or whatever, and you put it beneath the laptop to prop yourself up so that you are eye level, right? You want to be eye level. And I'm kind of using a little subtle trick here where I'm smiling in the good shot, but in the other shot, I'm like glowering. And I always laugh at infomercials when, the before picture is somebody like, frowning. And then the after picture, they've got the result they're selling, but they're also smiling. I'm like, well, hey, that's a cheap trick. But another thing we see with camera framing is this, where way too much headroom. Okay, not only is am I not eye level with the camera, but there's way too much space around my head here. There's way too much space head around me. You want to be looking directly into the camera lens as much as possible with your head and your upper torso in frame. And you don't want too much space above your head because then you kind of get lost. You're not as in focus. So that's really important. Those are some of the big mistakes. And it just takes a little bit of time. Don't go too crazy with it. Don't spend 15 minutes, trying to eliminate that last little bit of headroom, but just take some time to orient your camera with you and frame yourself up nicely. So that's what I would say there. Now, moving on then to the next problem area with video, and that is the framing. Not the framing, it is the background, which ties in with framing. But basically, the biggest thing is that, take some care to your background. Clean up what the camera can see, right? The good news is that, the bad news is you got to clean up what the camera can see. The good news is that you only have to clean up what the camera can see because that's all that matters. So, don't have anything that's untidy behind you. Try to get some things that look nice in your background. I wish I could get rid of the dresser behind me. But I don't know where to put it yet. But I've kind of put up a light on top of there. I've got a GoPro, my camera bag up there, just kind of some stuff to that fits with what I talk about, right? And what I'm an expert in, which is audio, visual, camera production stuff. Do that, for you too. Put your and not just business related stuff, but put some some personal stuff like your shots of your family or a painting you really like. But just be mindful about what is in the frame and how you can enhance what's in the frame. So Brian is asking the GoPro Hero 9 Black. No, Brian, no. I bought the GoPro Hero 8 right before, pretty much right before the GoPro Hero 9 came out. And of course, I'm kicking myself because the 9 has got, the 5K resolution. It's got the front-facing screen, so you can more easily frame yourself up. I should have known when the Hero 8 went on sale over the summer that there was a new one coming right around the corner. I should have known, but that's just how it goes. There we go. So, okay, I have an example for you of an advisor who was very thoughtful in their shot. This is Peter Hafner of Hafner Financial Group here. And this is actually from an upcoming What's Working Now interview that Horse's Mouth is going to be publishing within the next couple of weeks or so. And I just want you guys to see here what a little bit of thought to what's in your shot can do. So you can see here that Peter, he's not right in the center of the shot, but he's using something called the rule of thirds, where if you divide if you divide your screen in thirds, vertically and horizontally, where those 2 points meet up top, if you put your face in one of those intersections, it's pleasing to the eye. You can just go ahead and Google rule of thirds if you want to find an image of where those points are. So he's using that, but look at his background. So the first thing that stands out to me is he's got a monitor set up with his logo blown up nice and big on the table there. Looks really good. Then he's got a book. I don't know if he wrote that book, but he's got that, standing next to the monitor. He's got what looks like a little like baby doll or something. I'm not quite sure what that is, but something that's a little humorous, adds a little bit of personality. At the top left, you can see he's got an image of himself with, it looks like from a wedding, maybe his 2 daughters and his wife. I'm not sure. It's a little blurred out, but a personal photo there. And then he's got a couple of neat images, Stonehenge there in the top right, and then what looks to be like a Mayan temple or something on the bottom right there. So it just looks good, right? It looks a lot better than just having random stuff or a blank wall behind him, right? So these little things like that go a long way. I think everybody would agree with that. Okay, so we've covered the heavy hitters here: audio, lighting, camera, and background. If you have any questions, let me know. Or let me know about what you think I missed. Is there like a big mistake you see people, making that really makes you grit your teeth? Let us know. I'd love to talk about that too. But the next thing I'm going to move on is, and this is specific, everything I just talked about really doesn't have just to do with online video. It's also, any video you shoot is going to have these problems. But the next thing is specific to online video, and that is with your internet connection. So what I'm going to tell you now, I know that most of you are going to be like, sorry, Doug, no way am I going to do this. Forget it. And that is plug your computer into the internet. Take that Ethernet cable that runs from your router and plug it into the Ethernet jack in your computer, or if you're on an Apple laptop, get a Ethernet to USB-C or Lightning connection, or Ethernet to USB converter. Some way that you can hardwire your internet into your computer, because this happens. I get it's an inconvenience, right? And most of the time your Wi-Fi works great, right? Most of the time you could stream Netflix from your bedroom and it works great. So why do I have to do this? Well, Wi-Fi is just by its nature inconsistent. Sometimes it's really strong. Sometimes that strength wanes. And when the strength wanes and you're giving a online presentation, or you're having a really important online meeting, your Wi-Fi starts to get patchy. Now all of a sudden, we're losing your audio. Your image is starting to stutter. And that's because your Wi-Fi strength is diminishing. It should hopefully come back, but why even have to deal with that at all? It can get really bad. So why not just plug it in? And for those of you who are saying, oh, but my router is at the other end of the house, or it's at the other end of the office, I don't want to run a cable that's that long. Well, listen, if your computer really is that far away from your router, then you should at least move yourself and your computer closer to your router when you do something online with online video. Because distance is one of the primary factors that leads to a breakup in Wi-Fi, right? There's just more distance it's going to travel, and more room for interference to get in. So if that's what you're thinking right now, well, that means even more you've got to do something, whether it's getting closer to the router, because that's, if you don't want to run a cable, that's the other thing. Get as close to the router as you can. Now, I'm going to go ahead to kind of demonstrate my point. This right here is an internet speed test that I did yesterday, where I am connected to Wi-Fi. So, and by the way, to do this, you just Google, speed test or internet speed test, and it'll come right up in the browser. Now, I think most of you will look at this and you'll be like, wow, like I wish I had this. Particularly the upload speed, right? I got like 40 megabits per second, which is really good. That's like over 4 times the upload speed you get with like your typical residential connection. But you got to keep in mind here that I am on Verizon Fios, fiber, where I'm supposed to be getting a gig up and a gig down. So when you look at it in that lens, this is terrible. This is terrible. And again, not only am I getting much less internet speed than what I should be getting, but the Wi-Fi is just inherently spotty. So now let's go ahead and move to when I plugged the internet into my computer. This is what happened when I ran that speed test. So again, I'm getting that 900 megabits per second down, and I am getting almost 800 megabits per second upload. Clearly, that is many, 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 many times better of an internet connection. And also, it's going to be much more stable. And we can get into kind of I'm not going to get into this, but just briefly, each type of internet, whether you're talking about fiber, cable, DSL, they have kind of inherent reliability. Fiber is by far the best, the fastest, the most reliable. If you can get fiber and you're doing a lot of online video, it's a no-brainer to get fiber. Whereas cable and DSL, not so much. But again, plug in that internet. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. But I think that is it. That is it I had prepared for today. So those are the biggest mistakes I see with any type of video, but online video in particular. And as you can see, they're really not that hard to fix. You just have to be mindful of them. And one of the things that I'll kind of wrap up with is that set yourself up a studio. That's a really great thing to do, where you have your background set up and you have the position of your computer. You know where you always put your computer or your camera. You know where you always put your microphone. Maybe you tape on the floor where you stand, or where you position the chair where you're perfectly framed up. If you do that way you can just easily get set up for your meeting, for your webinar. And you don't have to spend all this time, dialing everything in. So consider setting yourself up a studio. I think it's worth the time. And will make it a lot easier to you, because anytime you're doing anything video, any hurdle you put between you and doing the video drastically increases the chance that you're not going to do it. So let's take those hurdles away. Let's remove those hurdles. Let's make it as easy as possible for you to just get going, use the video, and hit record, or start broadcasting, or join the meeting, join the webinar. Let's make it easy on ourselves so that we can have consistently good quality with our online video. So again, my name is Doug Pierce. This has been the Advisor's Digital Toolbox, which is live on Facebook every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And so until next time, I hope that your meetings and your webinars or any of your video is pristine and glitch free. Take care, everybody.